Hello, everybody watching this recording, and welcome to the final episode of the inclusion conversation of the year 2023. We've had lots of different episodes, lots of different topics, all focused on disability and neurodiversity. And we are joined today by many returning guests and also people who have attended the show throughout the season, which is absolutely amazing. If you don't know me, my name is Solène. My pronouns are she, her. I am the founder of Be Beyond Borders and the host of the Inclusion Conversation. And I am a white woman in her mid-30s with long, wavy, light brown hair. And today I'm wearing a stripy top, white and dark blue, very French style. So thank you so much for joining us for this recording of the reflections that we have had in 2023 around inclusion, but around the work that we do in general. So we've each come up with different things that we're proud of, different challenges that we've come across in the year, and also a word that summarizes our experience. Mine was compassion, and I can't wait to go to lots of different people and so that they can share with you what their reflections are. So, Jo, let's start with you.
With me, gosh, I wasn't expecting to be the start. You were asking something we're proud of and something that has challenged us. And I have been doing I'm studying for a doctorate at the moment, so it's by far the biggest sort of thing that is challenging me. And I should say that I won a poster competition and that's what I'm proudest of. But actually, I think over the course of the year, I have made 12 small statues of reindeer that on Friday I'm going to hide around my village. One of them, Isaac, is wearing purple socks, which should get me points for Purple Sock Day. And I think I'm proudest of that because although it sounds ridiculous, it does show that against the work that I've been doing, I have been doing something. I'm not sure if it counts as self-care, but it's a bit that way. And which leads me sort of to the challenge, which is that as an autistic researcher, I have faced very particular challenges in doing my work. And I'm losing words to articulate them because these are not things that are talked about. And so hopefully in the future, and I think your next question was, what do you hope? I hope to find a way of articulating those things so that those barriers are not necessarily there for the next person.
Make the next person's survival guide based on your experience.
I'm not sure I've survived, but yeah, something like that.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for kicking us off. Always a hard spot. What about you, Rox?
Hello, I'm Roxanne Still. I am proud to work as an accessibility and inclusion specialist at DNA. Thank you for having me back in this space and asking me to reflect on the past year. My word was unexpected, and I mean this by personally and within the world as well. I think we can say unexpected can both be positive and be challenging at the same time. So I think that encompassed the year for me. Um, Celebrating achievements, and particularly with the wording that you put up on the screen, Len, you said something you're proud of. Well, I'm sure that you know me well enough that this is something that I struggle with, talking about how I'm proud of myself and what I do. But I guess I am proud to be part of the work that we are doing within the communities. I'm really proud to be part of those conversations, being invited into those conversations, being proud to be part of the change and supporting people to develop and evolve, I guess, is something I'm proud of. One of the challenges I faced this year, or the biggest challenge I faced, is surrounding loss. So just to let people know before I start talking about that, if you wanted to turn off the audio or skip over this part, then that's fine. I incurred a loss of a very close family member recently. And yes, it's not just the challenge around the loss, it's before the loss and after the loss. I'm thinking about the inaccessibility of the grieving process for a lot of individuals. I had a big fear that I would not be able to support this person that had supported my needs throughout my life as they would need to within that time on an equitable basis in the same way that my family did. So there was a lot of guilt around what could I do or what wasn't I able to do, which is something I don't often focus on, what I'm not able to do. But what I learned is that I was able to find ways that I could contribute in other ways that my family members couldn't. So I was able to provide a different level of support, but as important. So I think that was a big challenge for me, but also finding out that I am capable of supporting my family in that way. What are my hopes for the future? I have a lot of hopes for the future for myself, for other people, for the world. But I think focusing on myself, which is again something I find hard to do. I hope that my mindset allows me next year to move into spaces unapologetically, which I deserve to be in and deserve to share my skill sets in. And what about my family traditions or my holiday traditions? Well, actually, I'm not going to be partaking in my usual traditions of steak and chips on Christmas Day and watching films because of the changes within our family. I will be going into a more familiar space, but I'm hoping that I can actually create new traditions this year and reframe Christmas rather than being something that's quite isolating or what I saw as self-care, being able to still have that self-care element and having time to myself, but also involve my family in that tradition as well.
Thank you so much for sharing, and I'm looking forward to seeing the unapologetically taking up space next year. Rachel, would you like to go next?
Which Rachel?
Oh, there's two Rachels. Welcome back. I'll figure that one out. Maybe it's you then, I think. If you're happy to go.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm sorry, I can't remember all the questions, but Christmas holiday traditions, I don't really have any, to be honest. Maybe this will be, I mean, for various reasons, I always end up either traveling or working or doing different parts and different things. And my family and I have done Christmas in May a few times because that's when I'm back. So maybe that's our tradition, Christmas in spring. Who knows? Maybe we'll create an actual winter tradition this year. Things that I am proud of this year. Yeah, I mean, I'm part of the DNA team as well. I'm proud of so much of that we've done this year. Some of that, I guess, in part has been part of the challenge because it's been my first year with DNA, but it's not a bad challenge. I think challenges can be good as well. So it's been like a good challenge to have. Personally proud of because I've been sailing for a couple of years and I entered my first world competition this summer. And it didn't win, but I did win best female sailor, and I got a pretty trophy for it. I'm very, very happy about that. Just gonna, didn't even mean to say this pun, but ride the wave of that. Didn't even mean to do that, but I'm gonna ride the wave of that for like forever. And yeah, I think my word of the year would be further, because I feel like I've gone further with my sailing and my hobbies, further with my career, further with my learnings, further in my personal relationships and my personal life in that way. So yeah, it's been good. It's been positive furthering, if you will. And I guess I'm really hoping for next year to continue, particularly in the career aspect of my life, to continue to build on that really. Yeah.
Amazing. Thanks for sharing. It's getting dark where I am, so put on some lights. Thank you so much for sharing, Rachel. Wow, I had no idea about the sailing. Congrats. That's awesome. Harry, what about you?
Sorry, losing my voice, so I hope everything sounds okay. I've had like I said, a very chaotic year. I think I'm most proud. I published my first book, so that was really exciting. It was a lot of work, and was a really big challenge, but it's something to be proud of, something really kind of concrete to be like, this is something I achieved. I think probably one of my biggest challenges this year is going from working full-time and running my company on the side to working part-time and running my company full-time. And then I spoke in front of a big audience for the first time this summer at the Autism Show. So that was also quite a large challenge. I think in looking forward, I hope to be able to get my resources out to more people so that I can do this full-time. Would be the hope moving forward.
Amazing. Thanks for sharing. And for anyone who hasn't watched it, Kerry and I did the latest episode of the Inclusion Conversation about emotions, communicating our emotions. It was really, really cool topic. Matthew, what about you?
So yeah, thank you. Well, I think for me, particularly this year, I've been proud to see so many really amazing, wonderful people be able to really find the courage to be boldly and unapologetically more of themselves, and to have been able to support people a little bit in that. And it kind of goes back to our conversation when we did our talk about unmasking earlier in the year. I think it's such a wonderful thing to see more people do that. Personally, my biggest challenge has been and kind of remains how to fit into a world that doesn't really think the way I do, doesn't understand things the way I do. What I have learned is to be in more spaces where I'm kind of valued for who I am without having to spend so much effort fitting in, without having to adapt and being so used to adapting that it almost became the default, and it felt weird when it didn't happen. Starting to get more comfortable being comfortable in spaces, actually. And I think my hope for the year is that actually all marginalized people, but very much neurodivergent and disabled people, that we can live more comfortable, less precarious lives, and that our intrinsic worth is better understood and recognized in the world.
That sounds like a mission statement. Thank you for sharing. And Crystal, you were on the episode with Matthew, so I'll come to you next.
Thank you. It's funny, I was thinking, what was the episode called? I can't remember. Thanks. That was a perfect setup. Let's see. Okay, so a little intro, right? For the official recording. So Crystal McGilvery, I'm the founder of a company called Mind Over Money. I'm an ADHDer and dyslexic, award-winning, I should say this, money coach, chartered accountant, business partner, host, speaker, etc. My thing is supporting founders and professionals with their finances. So I'm a CBT coach, and it's all about getting you confident with money. I think it's like 80% of my client base are neurodiverse, fear of money, avoidance, all of that stuff. And I help you get over it, get over that hill and feel good about money. And if you are a founder, make money sustainably. Also a board advisor for a couple of organizations. And as Selene reminds me to say, I'm an artist and I do improv. I didn't want to be an accountant, funny enough. So in terms of the questions, I think one of the things I'm really proud of is similar to, I think you, Kerry, speaking at one of my biggest events before ever. So I've started doing a lot of speaking this year, and there's an event called the UK Black Business Show. So about 6,000 people go through the doors every year for this one event, and I hosted, I think there was 300 people. But hosting is a bit different to giving a finance talk or doing a math. I can do that with my eyes closed, but hosting, being that charismatic person in between, hey guys, wasn't that amazing? Like that was, yeah, scary, but it aligned perfectly with my love for acting and stuff. So that was big. I'm really proud on me doubling down on supporting entrepreneurs. I think coming from starting with personal finance, that's really heartfelt, and getting comfortable with, actually I got into this space because my mother was self-employed and I saw her struggle, And I really believe in self-employment and entrepreneurship as a way out, especially for us ND folk who struggle in the workplace like I do. So really doubling down on supporting us. Biggest challenge, I think, Matthew, you touched on this slightly. I did a talk the other day about taking up space and being an inspiration. And that has come off the back of me leaning into being more of myself unapologetically. But the challenge part of that is not everyone's going to like it. So that means some people have disappeared. So that was uncomfortable, but I understand it's for the right reasons. And looking forward to, what do I have here? Bigger, better, supporting more business owners in a more accessible way. Just thinking about affordability and making sure that more people can access the support, because there isn't much out there in terms of business finance in a bouncy way, which is what I am, bouncy. Let's embrace it. More acting, more hosting, and continuing to take up space. Thanks, Ellen.
Thank you. So many people have, such inspiring, and also quite a bit of crossover as well. So common themes. This is really amazing. Isaac, do you want to go next?
Sure. This year has definitely been full of reflections, which is why my word was eye-opening, in many different aspects. I think I'll start with the challenges that I've faced a lot of challenges this year, that my health has been up and down at times. I've had to go through a lot of pain, because I get pain when I sit up for long periods of time. Accessibility in 2023, and there's still a lot of challenges because I live in central London and things are just not always that great, and it means I have to do some long-winded journeys, and having to an hour and a half journey ends up being 4 hours, and that could be quite frustrating, even though I still have a very calm mind about it. It can be very frustrating, and Celine can relate to this, also having a lot of challenges with our own community, and having people on the outside act as if they're doing really great work, but behind the scenes it's a totally different story. So it's meant a lot of very difficult conversations, and even conversations going forward for these changes. So those are quite a lot of challenges, but you know, I've pushed through them, and it's allowed me to achieve and be proud of being able to ski this year for my fourth time I've done skiing, and I've been able to this year got to do it with a foot control, so I independently went down the mountain. I was part of a article for Vogue magazine, a space I never thought I'd ever be in, but that's all about adaptive clothing. And I think the biggest one, which only happened a couple of weeks ago, was receiving my MBE from King Charles himself at Buckingham Palace. And I feel it's one of those moments where it's not a personal proud moment, but a moment that I feel is a great reflection on the disability community, and that we are here and we can achieve and we can do really great things in the world. And I think, yeah, that's a huge reflection for me, and I'm proud to represent the disability community in that way. And going forward, I guess I'm gonna still go with the flow, but also try and make change within the spaces behind the scenes, because I think it is necessary that our own community get it right.
Yep, we've had conversations about that. More to come. Beth, you were on the same episode with Isaac, so do you want to go next? And thanks, Isaac, for sharing. Congratulations again. I'm so happy for you.
Yes, I was just being incredibly humble about his Emmy, incredibly well deserved for him individually as well. So I'm Beth Kim Holland, and also visual description for the recording because I always forget. I'm a white woman with long brown hair tied up with a fringe, and today I'm channeling my inner Barbie in a pink floral dress. And in terms of who I am and what I do, so I'm the founder and CEO of Patchwork Hub, which is a disabled-led employment platform where we provide an accessible jobs board, training sessions and consultancy. We help employers to become more inclusive and accessible, and we help our hidden talent pool of disabled people, parents and carers to find work, support and community. And I live with a whole host of complex health conditions myself, and my work sees me get to a range of things, from working with organisations, working with job seekers and governments and community-led organisations to try and advocate for change. My word for 2023 was growth. Bit of a simple one from what I do normally say, but I think both in terms of the business and that side of things, but also personal development. I think my reflections over the last few years, I would probably have come up with a less positive word maybe about myself, and I'm really trying to become a bit kinder to myself in from that side of things, and recognizing the positives. So I guess in terms of one of the things that I'm proud of, so we're actually currently doing with Patchwork Hub, we're doing our impact reporting at the moment, and I think that's making me proud to see, because it can sometimes feel like you're not going at the pace that you want to, or have it, or concerning around always moving goalposts to the next thing. So it's nice to have that reflection, to look back and see some of the genuine impact that we're starting to have, which is really promising and hopeful. And I think in terms of challenges, so I guess personally this year there's been a lot of challenges with my health, additional diagnoses and different things that's meant in terms of things that have been quite tough and difficult. And I think, as I'm sure others on this call can appreciate, the challenges that then come when you run your own business, when your health starts to fall apart and there not being anybody to pass the baton to. So I think that's something that is definitely been a challenge and tried to overcome with just incredible support that I continue to be really grateful for in enabling me to do the work that I do. So very grateful for that. And then finally, looking forward for 2024, I'm hopeful that, as others have reflected, the community that we've built here will continue to change the narrative, raise the profile of inclusion, and I think also making sure that disability is not forgotten or an afterthought in having these conversations around inclusion. And I think to make sure that businesses are prioritizing it and integrating it into their approach to diversity inclusion will remain incredibly important. And yeah, I think remaining hopeful, even though there's lots going on in the UK and in the world right now to be worried and concerned about. I think just got to keep doing what we're doing and trying to get those small victories and do what we can to change things.
Thank you, Beth, so much for sharing. Rainbow, would you like to go next?
Yeah, I'm Rainbow, currently living in California. I have purple hair, and that's my natural hair color. No, I'm just kidding. But I call myself, I have ADHD and autism and some other mental health conditions, and I have a physical disability that is progressing, unfortunately, but I do the best I can. I call myself neuro-unique, so try to be neuro-unique in a world that doesn't cater to people who are neuro-unique or neurodivergent. I'm just trying to do my best. I'm proud of the work that I've been able to do. I don't work for any specific organization, but I'm proud of the work that I've done for advocacy for mental health and destigmatize mental health and physical disability and decolonize mental health. In the US, at least in the US, that's all I can speak for. It's still a huge issue. Finding out more and more every day what an issue, how many challenges there are. I think you overcome one challenge and there's more. I am also proud of something I always wanted to do. When it finally happened, I was kind of thinking, well, it might not happen. I finally did a podcast. for an organization called Recovery Advocacy Network. And it was a 1 hour, it was long. I'm surprised they let me talk that long, but it was just about my trauma recovery journey, starting from childhood all the way to the present time. It was a good reflection in my life. And some of the challenges I faced that I do not hope I have to face this year. I finally have a place of my own. It's been the first place of my own I've had in 40 years, 40 years. And I hopefully I can stay here without experiencing periods of homelessness. It's hard being homeless, especially when the physical disability is bad. So I've had to experience homelessness in the last 5 or 6 years. Like even this year was a large gap. So hopefully I have a place and can stay here in a more stable housing. That's my hope for 2024. So thank you for letting me share. I love Selena. I love your organization and I love the work you do. And I think it's so much needed worldwide. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing so openly and for showing up so early in your day as well. We have a couple more people who would like to share. I'm aware of the time, so if anyone needs to go, that's absolutely fine. But if you can stay, please do stay for another 5-10 minutes. For the next couple of people, we have Shay and then Atif. So Shay, would you like to share next?
Hello. So I'm still trying to figure out what my word of the year would be. But I just think everyone who has shared so far has just been so magnificent. Thank you at all for everyone who has shared so far. I'm looking forward to everyone who is going to share. Without any more preamble, I'm not sure, like, because I'm a wordy person, so just quick content for like allusions to unstable situations, but I won't get too graphic with stuff. I'll try my best, but just housing and like stuff like that. But yeah, my biggest challenge for this year has been just really trying to overcome, or well, not trying, I've been overcoming a lot of self-limiting beliefs and fear, that I've also kind of been like like I've been working in conjunction with a lot of like people in my life with, like kind of like that kind of complicity where you're like subscribe to this narrative where like, like people are like, this is your fault, but you're like, no, like we're all in this, and it's like kind of weird. But I don't know, I've always like been like aware of certain things, but like I kind of like got heavy into like um distracting myself from them, and then I'm kind of like removing these layers by layers, but like I'm trying not to get into the habit of like removing all the layers until there's nothing left. Like, so that's really the biggest part, of just like, being comfortable with like slowing down, like, and like being comfortable with that in a sense. So like I've been struggling with like, my housing for like the past couple of years, like, well, I'm working, I'm unemployed, and it's been really hard trying to like, be in a setting where it's like really a lot to like sit with, but also like, I'm trying to be in accordance with like respecting other people's boundaries, but also respecting myself and asserting my needs at the same time. And it's just been like, for some reason, like I'm really like one of my main things I've always had has been like balance, balance, but it's like hard to balance. Like life is like a weird way of imbalancing. And I'm like 24, about to be 25. So it's like weird because like time is like, like we all have our own timelines inside of ourselves, but the world is not like that. Like, so it's kind of like, giving ourselves more grace. So I guess to wrap it up in a weird way is like word of the year would be like, grace, having more grace, I guess. So yeah.
That's a beautiful word. Thank you for sharing. I'm going to add that to our lovely list. So to share with everyone watching the recording, we all came up before sharing with a word to summarize our year. And we have words like chaotic, eye-opening, recognition, tumultuous, grace, roller coaster, compassion, unexpected, visibility, consistency, madness, growth, deconstruction, settling, challenging, discovery. And we're going to finish now with Atif, hearing from you about your reflections, and your word was steadfast.
Thanks. Thanks, Helen. Thank you, everyone. I mean, the intimacy of what you've all said, it doesn't come from an easy place. And I don't think anyone should take it lightly. People listening, I know that we all probably make it sound like it's easy or it's good and we love it. And then part of us finding a safe place to kill shame is healing and what's not to love. But it also does bring out some of the spaces that not other people find easy to share or bring out in themselves. So I don't know, I just felt quite on for all of you. So that's just want to share that with you. And don't really want to go last, but I'll do my best to sort of share is that I think that I'm also doing a PhD, and I would like to say, look, that's one of the things for me, because I found school particularly challenging. And the stories I think we tell ourselves, the map I learned to navigate the world late, and it was not a good map, but it was mostly my map, but it was made in school and trying to navigate school and schooling and other things, social care and stuff. So I suppose for me, I suppose I'm looking at the idea of what we celebrate is doing a PhD is a big thing because there's a lot to it for me in terms of studying again. But the focus on what I'm doing, which is on decolonizing neurodiversity in a nutshell, it's not really what it's called, but it's about that. It's about how we take away the Eurocentrism, even the white supremacy that's attached to how we understand neurodiversity in its current form, the dangers of that, and the recognizing the healing that the current understanding does offer a lot of people. So we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, but we do recognize that the current modeling just leaves a lot of good folks behind, and it enforces a story or dictates one where other people don't get to navigate in and still need to be welcomed. And so there's things to be said for that, but that's not actually the thing I'm going to say. Well, I have said it, typically me. I think it's actually my son. I've got two kids. I have my daughter who's 9, and my son who started secondary school, when he's 11. And each day I watch him go to school with a kind of trepidation and excitement about what he's going to learn, the people he's going to meet. And I'm watching it all the time, and he's just not scared. And I find it just so exciting to see that I got to live a life and even raise a child, and to see the similarities we have with dyslexia and ADHD is there. It's so similar, it's shocking. But how he feels about it, it's just so different, and he's just not scared. And it's down to his environment. It's also down to his parents and the wonder of my wife and how we raise him. But it's also him, to be able to look at the world and go, yeah, I know there are people that spell better than me. I'm sure there's plenty, but they won't see the world like I do. And they won't be excited for the world like I am. And I love how he can say that. And he says it in a way that I wish I knew how to when I was his age. So I totally celebrate that he's this good, not despite these differences, but because of them. And we are, all of us, we're this good, not despite these differences, but because of them. And the richness of that will never go away for me. But are there days and moments, that throw me back to being 13 or 11? Crikey, yeah. The speed in which they still surprise me still, puts me on my knees, And I guess I don't know if I want that entirely to go away. It's a bit like grief, you love people, you miss them, you feel them. And the waves that make you sad when you remember them are a way of connecting yourself to them. And I think for me, the remembering how hard it was, particularly, gave me fire for what we do as DNA and what we do in other parts of the world. Do I want that fire to go out? No, not really. Do I want it to be easier? Yeah, for sure. all the time. God, yeah, every day. But I also know I'm grateful to the people around me. I'm deeply grateful to the celebrations and the sharing that they do in our work, and the work that we deliver for other people around the world. And just in the casualness of the conversations that aren't casual, but we make them sound that way because we're truly sincere. We're truly sincere in how we show up for people. So I'm really excited by that. The things that I'm worried about a lot, I think I touched on. I think the kind of casual dehumanization of people's lives being lost, the casualness in which we can talk about being people killed and not demand a ceasefire, it breaks my heart. The ease in which that can be comprehended by media is hurtful. And I think it speaks not to Palestine or Gaza, but just to humanity and what we are as people and what we deserve to be as people, that we can see outrage and work with it and insist upon it. So I think those are the things that are challenging me, and I think that I'm grateful to that challenge, and I'm grateful that I never want to be numb to pain, even if it puts me in pain. And then in terms of, like I said, there's so much hope. There's so many helping the helpers, and who helps the helpers? That's who we are, right? We help the helpers and we become them. So I'm celebrating that. I mean that. I hope that's not too sad. In terms of winter traditions, I don't really have any. Do you know, when I was a kid, I didn't know that people believed in Santa. I know it sounds weird, but when I was a kid, my dad, mom worked hard and they told me, this is what they do. We're not religious. We're not Christians. So we didn't do Christmas presents per se. But when they used to talk about, I was a bit like Red Riding Hood. I didn't really think they truly believe a wolf lived in the woods. Oh, sorry, Granny. So I didn't actually believe that children actually thought Santa was a person who's giving them their presents. Why am I saying that? It's because if I knew that, I think I would have said something. I'd be saying, what? No way does that guy come to your house. It's not real. I would have made that really clear, and just to enjoy it. And yet, why am I saying this? Is because now that my son is 11, we have done Santa, and my wife has made Santa a real thing in our house, and it was quite a joy to do it each year and see. And now he is deeply conscious that Santa's not real. So that changes our tradition. He's keeping it alive for my daughter, who's 2 years younger, and he's really being a really kind brother, not to ruin it for her. But I suspect a new tradition is going to come into our house, about how we pretend about Santa and how he looks at me and winks at me, and I pretend to carry on. And I think I'm going to miss it. I think I'm going to miss Santa, and I didn't realize that I was missing it as a child too. But I definitely will miss that magic. But new traditions will come. So that's it for me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. And that last bit made me giggle because I was a very bad sister, and I told my sister as soon as I discovered, so she barely ever believed in Santa. She's had to leave the call, so she will have to watch the recording to hear this sincere apology for ruining Santa for her at about 4, unfortunately. Thank you so much, everybody, for sharing. I hope that you also got a kernel of inspiration from listening to each other. There's so much greatness, and so much authenticity, sincerity in what all of you have brought to this space today and bring to, this space and our community all year, every year. And so I'm so grateful to all of you for coming today, for coming on the show throughout the year, for watching this show on replay as well. It just wouldn't exist if it weren't for, everybody here. So yeah, thank you so much. Personally, I've been on definitely a journey like many of you to show up, and this year a highlight was speaking my truth through the poem Why Me, that I shared on stage at Disability Expo this year about my lived experience of BPD. That was the most nerve-wracking moment I've had. It's like standing naked emotionally in front of lots of people, basically. Challenges resonate a lot with what's been said: loss, illness, and also navigating negative, often non-constructive comments around some of the work that I've been engaged in, and without letting that impact self-worth and authenticity, and not kind of lean into the temptation of hiding all over again. And finally, in terms of intention for next year, mine would be radical acceptance and appreciation of everything and everybody. And as you've summarized it perfectly around, that's the purpose of this show all along, is to break down those borders and bring people closer together so that we realize that, yes, we are all different and that's incredible. And yet we're also all so damn similar. And that is incredible and beautiful in its own right as well. So thank you so much to all of you, and hopefully see you next year. Enjoy all your winter traditions if you have them. And if you have any feedback on the show, please feel free to share it with me in an email or in the comments below. Thank you.